You on the Zencaster thing?
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, grab on. I don't know where the fuck Amani is. I sent her a link like 30 minutes ago. So we'll just go live and see when she shows up, and then we can discuss topics after. I guess I don't know what.
All right, hold on. Let me get
Oh yeah, yeah.
my coffee.
There's no rush. Kitty, fucking stop. Hello, Rawi Sroji. Sorry if I'm saying your name totally wrong. Good morning, though.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. So I found out that I can add moderators to our
Yeah,
chat
you were telling me last time
because
that you were
I'm
just like, "Oh, I just figured this
yeah I
out."
just figured all this stuff out because I'm a dumb person.
Oh, dude, I have no idea how to do it. Like, there's a lot that I'm still figuring out.
Well, that's tis the truth of life. I guess what we'll do is just hang out and talk with everybody. To read any of the Doctor Strange omnibus yet? No, I haven't. I meant to. I in my last haul video I said I was going to try to read the Doctor Strange omnibus before um, the movie came out, but I basically just didn't. I haven't started yet. I mean, I know the movie doesn't come out until like the 7th or the 8th of November. So once I finish Identity Crisis for the book club, then I'll move on to it. But I don't know if I'm going to be done with it by the end of the beginning of November. I'm not sure. Are you planning on doing the book club this Wednesday, MJ?
I want to.
Okay.
It should be. I don't think I have any exams or anything. Well, I do, but they're not till next week. So should be pretty free this whole week. So maybe I want to. I
Okay.
definitely want to.
Yeah, yeah. You're more than invited to. I'm about halfway through Identity Crisis right now. Have you read it before?
No, I'm not a big on DC. Not that I don't like DC. It's just
You
not.
just don't know that.
I'm not informed.
Yeah,
If you will.
I'm finding it. I like it. It's much more of a writer's book than it is an artist's book, which I think Brad Meltzer is a novelist. So like it
Hmm.
definitely feels like that. It doesn't feel like a straight up comic book. But I'm enjoying it so far. But the Doctor Strange reviews are out. It's on Metacritic. It's um it's like sitting at like a 73 right now on
Cool.
Metacritic.
I'm interested.
I'm interested too. I'm kind of a little bit pessimistic on it. I don't know. I'm kind of down on it, like just because I feel like I'm at the point where I've seen enough Marvel
Yeah, I'm a little
movies. Yeah,
superhero movie out.
and also it's one of those things that's a little bit frustrating because like there's a lot of psychedelic and cool and weird stuff going on in the movie, and I think like is meant to be going on in the comics and everything. And I just something about the slick like what's it called, computer
Special
driven
effects.
special effects stuff, like it doesn't mesh to me with, like, I don't know, for something that's trying to capture like psychedelic spiritualist magic stuff and like mysticism.
It looks
I
too
would love to
modern.
see it. Yeah, it just feels like it just doesn't feel right to me. I mean, I haven't
Yeah.
seen the movie, and from what I've heard from from what I've read in all the reviews, I guess the shots in the trailer are not completely indicative of the whole movie. Like, I guess the trailer skews a little bit heavier towards like just showing you a little bit of it, a little bit of that kind of Inception style that they have
Yeah.
going on. But I just would like to see it like a little bit spacier, trippier, more like practical effects, and kind of like go into like a weirder place rather than looking so
Good
Slate.
luck, man. You're not gonna find any practical,
Yeah, I
like
know, and
any
that's what I'm
practical
saying.
effects
I'm just
driven movie in like a mainstream,
yeah,
like in a mainstream studio, if you will.
and that's what I'm saying is that like I still find myself liking these things. Like I'm sure I will enjoy the movie, but I am finding like less and less my ability to really be like, yeah, this is great when they all sort of like feel like they are trimmed down to the same, you know, lowest common denominator thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's actually part of what I'm gonna bring
what
up
you
to
gonna talk about today? Uh oh,
a
spoiler
little
alert
bit.
for the
That's all
podcast.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like down on it. I don't think it's
No,
gonna be,
yeah,
you know, shit
same.
or anything. It's, I just, I've kind of reached my saturation point with this stuff, and I'm like, I need a little something, something from
Something
these kind of things.
interesting.
Yeah,
Have you gotten any like anything super interesting lately, like books wise?
I've been getting,
Like aside from the major two, if you will.
yeah. I do you have you read? Are you a manga person at all? Have you read any?
No, I've been like the only manga really I've read is Lone Wolf and Cub
Oh, okay,
and some Yojimbo stuff, but I don't really know if that constitutes as manga. But
it's fuck. I love Lone Wolf Cup. It's fucking awesome.
no, yeah, me
Um,
too.
I've been getting Osamu Tezuka's stuff. Is the guy who did Astro Boy. Like he's sort of the progenitor of most manga oriented stuff. And I've been trying to collect the series that he did called Blackjack. That's out in 17. It was done in 17 trade paperbacks, but they're like, you know, smaller digest manga size. But it's really good. It's about this like rogue surgeon guy who like operates, you know, outside of hospitals and whatever, and like people come to him always asking for money, and he's kind of like this like aloof guy, and then they come to him asking for help with these different things, and they're all sort of like mini stories. They're all like these little allegory tales, and you know something
Hmm.
happens where like it turns out that the person did something evil, and then he takes their money and gives it to the person that they wronged. It's all stuff like that. But
Hmm.
I love him. I love Tezuka. He's done a ton of stuff, really prolific, and probably he's best known for Astro Boy. And he also did an adaptation of like it's not really an adaptation, I guess, but he did the story of the Buddha in like 8 or like 6 volumes or something.
That
That
sounds
was really good.
interesting to me.
Yeah, he's like a really awesome guy. He was very influenced by Walt Disney, and so like his stuff kind of has like that cartoonish like you know how you see like Disney stuff, and when they're like doing motion, they have uh like elongated stuff to stress that they're like moving through space, or like when
Hmm.
somebody gets hit on the head, they like squish down and stuff. Like it's like that. Like it has like that kind of hyper exaggerated look going on to it. But it also kind of comes with the old Disney territory, the old like 50s and 60s stuff where like it's kind of hella racist at points. Like he'll
Song
have
of the
like
South type shit.
yeah. Like and I don't think it's from a place of like necessarily malice, cuz he seems like a very
It's just of
uh
its time.
yeah. Like he's very I feel from what I've read about him and from the types of books that he does, I think he's a very progressive person. Like he, you know, wrote like he has novels about, or he has manga about like Hitler and how it was like, you know, terrible and stuff, and like how humanity should not try to reproduce that stuff. So like I don't think he's a bad person, but you know, when he
And
draws some racial groupings, they
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 tend to
definitely
lean.
take on, yeah, they definitely take on some pretty bad, like yeah, it can be pretty bad.
Have you I know we kind of briefly talked about it before, but like have you read any like humanoid stuff? I know you said you've read like before the Inkle like the Inkle series,
I've
but
read
have
the
you read
Incal
like
stuff.
Meta Barons or anything like that?
No, I have on my shelves. I have Metabarons. I have the Techno Priest like big slipcase one,
Hmm.
and then I've read the before, final, and regular Incal. I've also read this one called Shamanism that I thought was really good, and I
I'm
also
trying to get into
have
humanoid
yeah,
stuff. I picked
it's
up
it's weird,
what was
man.
it Carthago? No,
Carthago, yeah, the shark one. Is it cool?
I don't know. It's beautiful. Like some of the art is
It's
fucking
good.
fantastic, man. I really love the art in these humanoids books.
Yeah.
Like they tend to be like really
Well, it's
strong.
all yeah. I mean, the European style of like graphic albums and stuff. I think that does have it has an emphasis on art over like that's my feeling with a lot of European stuff is that like there are some great there are some very well written European comics for sure. I'm not trying to
Mhm.
disparage that, but I feel like in the U.S. like currently when people think about comics, they sort of see it as like a writer's medium with like Scott Snyder and Jeff
Yeah.
Lemire and Tom King and all these like there's these kind of people that they prop Brian K. Vaughan like big series or Bendis or Brubaker or whatever. Big series are known by their writers and less so by their artists. Whereas in Europe, I feel like they do these graphic albums and they kind of have that feeling of like the artist is driving it and maybe the story is more abstract or not even really there
Well,
and it's just
Jodorowsky,
yeah
anything with Jodorowsky is fucking
yeah
like abstract. You
yeah
ever see? Are you a big fan of his movies at all or no?
yeah I do I like
The Holy Mountain,
Holy
El
Mountain's
Topo,
awesome. I love Holy Mountain.
Santa Sangre,
I have not
and
seen Santa Sangre. I have seen El Topo and Holy Mountain. El Topo I saw too long ago to appreciate it. I didn't really like
mhm.
get it. But Holy Mountain I have seen a couple times and I really enjoy a lot of aspects of it. I think some of it is a little much for me, you know.
Yeah, like the old man shooting cheetah milk onto some guy's
Yeah,
face.
there's
Yeah.
like some weird there's some weird stuff and then the ending I was kind of like, oh, okay.
Meta, like the super
Yeah.
meta ending.
He
Yeah,
pulls back and they're like, now you go and do that. I was like, all right. I mean, I get it. And that's,
they're filming
I,
a film within a film.
yeah. And that's like very admirable. Cause like, have you watched Hodorowski's Dune?
No, I haven't. I've heard like nothing but good things about it though.
It's super interesting. And it kind of, and like, it talks about how he wanted to make a movie. He's like, I will make a movie that is a god. Like, what does that
Yeah,
even mean?
he's out there, man.
He is out there, but like he hints at that in Holy Mountain, where it's like he's making movies to directly get you to like reassess your life, like that's the point of all of his artwork or his art in general, like whether he's writing Inkal or whether he's writing Holy Mountain, like the idea is to put these pieces in motion in your life to move you
Yeah.
ahead in some way.
I don't know. With Holy Mountain, I felt like I stepped in on a religious service and I have no idea like
What's
what anything means or
it's
like,
very
but there's like
tarot influence and I don't know that much about tarot,
yeah,
so it
it's
is a
like
little
hugely
hard.
tarot influence. I was
Yeah.
like reading up on it, but I felt like I was like watching like a religious ceremony like happening, and so like people are doing things and there's like meaning behind them, but at the same time I'm like I don't know what it means, but I can tell that it means like it was like an experience in
Yeah.
itself, like
Well, I remember the first
experiencing
time
something.
I
So I was
turned
like,
on Holy
huh.
Mountain, it starts with that like tea ceremony and him like shaving the girls' heads and stuff.
Yeah,
And I was like, "Whoa!" Because like from the get go, it's like very like I mean, I love the camera work from that time, and
it's
specifically
very
Jodorowsky.
yeah.
It's like the colors are like so saturated, like it's hyper. The blood and stuff he uses is like orange almost, like to an
Yeah.
extent that it looks kind of goofy, but at the same time, it's also like really affecting to me. I don't know why, like just the way he
Mhm.
films stuff is so in your face, and like when you're seeing
It's
the women,
dude,
and
70s
I
filmmaking,
love it.
man. I 70s is my favorite
It's so
favorite
good.
favorite
Like the
decade of
close like
film.
zooms and pans and shots, and
Yep.
like it just like gets in your fucking face in a way that you just can't ignore. And I think it's so strong for that. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
It was weird. Like first time I saw it, I was like, that was weird, but I dug it. But I'm not sure why I dug it. Like I like aside from like cinematography and just like the structure of the like every single shot, like the composure of
Yeah,
every single shot was just fucking amazing.
yeah.
But like story wise, I was like, I don't know that I understood it. Like I understood that there was like four or like different there's like
There's like
different
planet.
planets,
Yeah, it's like the
and
different
then like
planets and
people,
personalities
yeah,
and
there's like people on each planet, like there's like a war planet, and they all come together to I forget what, like
the
it's been a while.
alchemist. Well, it's like the alchemist is going to because there's a thief. You follow like the thief who like Jodorowsky really loves that trope because even in the Incal, like John DeFool is
Yeah,
the fool.
see, I've read before the Inkle,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm dig it like a lot.
Okay, yeah. So it kind of has that feeling of like, and he does that in a lot of his works, where it's like, here's the base, everyman, dirty, filthy person, and like let's follow him as he is like transformed via this
Yeah,
alchemical process. And so so like it's him bringing the thief together with these other like personality tarot archetypes, and then all of them trying to like find the ultimate like alchemical transformative
yeah. It's
experience.
like there's a story there, but there's also a lot of other
It's just
stuff.
experiential.
Yeah, there's a lot of like other things stacked on top of it where you're
Yeah,
like the story's there, but that kind of doesn't really matter.
yeah,
Like,
and that's what I
so
feel about European comics sometimes
yeah,
too. Like there is something there if you are somebody who is coming at it from an American perspective and you feel like, oh, I really need to have that structure. It can be there if you look for it, but I think it doesn't serve you to look for it. I think it sort of serves you better just to like experience it and like
yeah.
look at the art and try to find like the weird meanings because it just feels like it gives you
Yeah, I
more
feel like
depth.
his stuff is definitely like experience over like
Absolutely.
narrative.
You
And
know,
like for a lot of people it's hard to grasp, like
yeah.
just like no, it's the experience. And they're like, "Well, yeah, but I didn't get the story." I'm like, "But it's like the
That's like
whole."
exactly my thing with. That's how I show why I show a lot of my friends Eraserhead is like to sort of because I mean that's it's like ostensibly nothing happens that in that movie really
Yeah, but
like
it's
there's
but there is
no
a really I think there's more of a story in that than
oh yeah for sure, but at the same time it is so much of an experience piece, and it's so jarring and interesting like that. It's sort of like comic books
yeah.
too. Like I remember when I first started reading comic books, one of my buddies at work gave me a a link to a Walter Simonson issue of Orion. That's all. It's there's no um, words in it at all. It's like Darkseid and Orion fighting for an entire issue, and it's
Hmm.
just like it's laid out amazingly. It's like all these people watching and all this stuff. And when I first started reading comics, I just didn't understand. So I flipped through it. I flipped through it in like 2 minutes because
Yeah, and you're
there's
like,
no
"Whoa, that
words.
was
And I was
whatever."
just like, that was dumb. Like that just took me 1 minute to read. And then I came back to it, a couple years later, and I was like, holy shit, I just didn't understand this when I
There was
was
another
doing it.
book that did something like that that I read. I remember reading and being like, "What the fuck?" Or, like at first, I was like taken back because I was like, there's like no words in it."
Yeah,
And then after a while, I was like, "Oh," and I like went back to the first page. I was like, "Okay, let's experience
yeah,
this," and
exactly.
like like
It's one of those
examining
things
each
that
panel, and you're like, "Oh
yeah,
shit, okay, cool." And
it
then you
makes
move to
you
the next one, and
slow
you see like
down and dig
you
it
feel
out.
the transition from one
Yeah,
panel to the next. Yeah,
yeah.
I like stuff like that. It's like when that like in a movie where like the first 20 minutes of the movie has like no dialogue or some shit. Like for a lot of people, they'd be like, "Well, how come nobody's talking?"
No, I
But
love
like,
that.
I love when a movie starts that way and they do it like so
I
well, where
think
you're
of
just like, "Oh my
There'll Be
god!"
Blood when I think of that,
Oh
like the
yeah,
whole beginning of that, and it's like within moments, my heart was like, "Oh my god, like this is amazing!" But I mean, nobody
yeah,
talks for like 25 minutes or something
yeah.
like
I
that.
love that.
Yeah.
You know what?
Benjamin Yoon says GI Joe 21 is like this. Like it's very.
Huh?
I think I remember reading about this. It's like it's either a completely wordless issue or something that has that kind of like more experience based reading. I'm actually kind of bummed because I have the first two GI Joe oversized collections of like the classic series. Oh, Chile and Brazil. Thank you,
Yeah, man. You're getting a lot of.
international
Oh,
audience. But
it's cool.
yeah, the GI Joe like some of the hardcovers are hard to find now. They're kind of out of print from IDW, which I'm bummed about because like I want to collect more of that series, but it's a little bit hard to get.
Did you pick up the Lock and Key Master
Yeah,
editions?
it's on the way to me at the moment. I have the third one is rather. I have
I'm
the
on the
first one.
fence on the third one still. I'm like, man, I want to get it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to spend the money.
Have you?
I'm like
I
trying
I
not to
actually
spend
haven't
money right
read
now, but
any of the Lock and
I
Key
haven't
series.
either. I have volume one and two, and I'm waiting on volume three to
Yeah,
start it. But now I'm like, I'm, I don't want to spend money.
I've only heard phenomenal things about it, so I'm excited to dig into it. I'm interested to see what it's like. Amani has told me that she really enjoys it a lot. Oh, but I also have. You should check out from Humanoids. I have not read it yet, so I can't speak to it exactly. But there's a book that they released not too long ago called The Ark,
Hmm.
which is a completely silent comic. It's just like an allegory tale about this guy like dragging a gigantic ark through the desert or something, and I think it's about like the journey of life or whatever. But
Sounds
if
interesting.
you're into that stuff, like that
No,
experiential
yeah,
art
yeah.
stuff,
I just like different stuff. Like you, like my film tastes. I like
yeah, oh, yeah,
different.
yeah, absolutely.
So
I
like
going
same thing with.
I really. It's funny because I was telling somebody else about this about having you on the show, and it's funny because like I like to think of myself as being somebody who is like kind of has tastes that are off the beaten path, but I don't really think that that's true because most of the things that I watch or listen to, like no matter how kind of outside they are, mostly they come from like lists that are like top 100 films, art house films of all time, top whatever, whatever. And I don't have like the balls, for lack of a better word, to like just go and find something that looks interesting to me. And so it's funny to me to like see your taste in stuff where I'm just like, dude, I haven't even heard of any of these things. Like so far off the beaten path. And I like really respect that and think that's super interesting because I wish that I had that like knack with me to search things that are that far off the path. Because there's as much as I like want to get into weird stuff, I still find myself kind of shackled to feeling like, oh, is this critically like really well done? Like, is this something that I should invest my time in? Like, I fall into the trap of like being too influenced by that. I don't really take my own, you know.
Yeah, I did that for a while. Where I think that's kind of like what led me into going to like weirder shit, like
Mm-hmm.
just stuff that's kind of more like not necessarily of the mainstream or like the list type stuff.
Yeah,
I did the list thing for a while, and then I was like, yeah, but I know there's other stuff that's like out there and kind of weird. And so I started like checking that shit out. And then after a while, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Sometimes there's good stuff, sometimes there's garbage, but there's always something interesting being done. Like even in the
yeah,
garbage, there's like interesting shit. And like after a while, my appreciation and like tastes kind of changed a little bit to accommodate that to make it like easier to digest shitty. Like not it's because it's not shit. It's just like digest stuff that's not as like up to other people's standards, I
yeah.
guess. So I
See,
guess like
I have
in a
like a
way like
hard
my
time.
standards have been lowered.
Well, no, I think it's just that you've like learned how to sift through and find the things that you like. And I have a hard time with that. Like if I sort of am not liking something or if I feel like it's something I'm not going to like, I'm more likely to just be like I'm never going to check it out. Like it's not worth my time to spend, that much, which I wish I was not like that. It's something I think is negative about my consumption habits is it's the same thing with comics. It's like there's so many interesting and weird comics out there that like, if you go to Comic Cons, you can find just in like indie comic bins like so
Hmm.
much stuff. But the part of me is like, oh, I've never heard of this before. I'll save my money for collecting things that are acclaimed. Something that I like.
Yeah.
Well, and then I'm like, oh, I wish I was willing to take more of a personal taste risk because I'm just very conservative with that stuff.
There's one run that I really want to check out. It's an indie comic from the 80s called Those Annoying Post Bros.
I've never heard
And
of that.
yeah, it looks really interesting to me. I want to check it out. It's like a creator, like I think he wrote and drew everything, but I forget who it was.
Matt
But
Howarth.
yeah, yeah, there you go. But I don't know. I don't want to go through the trouble of having to try and collect all the singles. That's the only problem where I'm like, fuck. Because and then not only that, there's like a few like miniseries that are kind of spin-offs of like those.
Yeah,
One called like Bugtown, and I forget what the other one is. And then there's some annuals too. It went for a long time, man. It's like 80 issues or more, something like that.
that is another thing with collect like when stuff is not collected in like one
Yeah.
place. I always get turned off of being like, oh man, I'm gonna have to find 1,000 different ways to collect this and hunt it down.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm, I'm trying to collect because I want to do a custom bind
Mm-hmm.
before, but I'm trying to
Yeah,
collect
you
the.
told me you wanted to, but I don't remember what series it was for.
It's called. Holy crap! I forgot what it's called. Scout. Yeah, it's called Scout, and it's like a
Scout.
post-apocalyptic world, and he's like a Native American.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. Um, I have there's two different series of it. So there's like the first series,
Oh, it's
which
Tim
was
Truman.
yeah, yeah, and
Good.
there's even like a flexi disc. I was telling you about it, like a flexi disc, like in the second series, that he wrote all the music to and everything. Like
Yeah,
his
yeah.
band did all the music. So like the first series is like his first tale, and then there's like an annual kind of. It's more like an encyclopedia issue, and then there's two mini series that are like at the end of that first run, and then there's a second run, and I'm missing like the last four issues of the second run, and I'm missing the two mini series, which are like three or four issues for each mini
And it's
series.
not collected anywhere.
It's collected, but they like they only collected the first like 12 issues of the first series. But
That
there's
sucks.
24 of the first series, and then I think there's like 16 of the second series, something like that. But so I have like a majority of it. I have like 80% of it, and I need to get the rest of it, and then I want to do a custom bind of it all.
He did a bunch of work in Conan. He did Colossal Conan.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because it got put out by Eclipse
Yeah,
Comics.
it is. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It says it's 24 issues
Yeah. That's the
from
first run,
Eclipse.
and then there's another one called Scout the War.
Four monsters and Scout Mount Fire.
I forget what
Eclipse says so. It says down at the bottom. Eclipse did two trade paperback collections. Oh, but that's all for the first series. Currently, Dynamic Forces Dynamite Entertainment is doing a series of reprints which are remastered and recolored.
the
Ugh.
recoloring looks like garbage.
I
It looks
hate
really
that
bad.
so much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the coloring in it isn't great. Um,
Because
but
I was
I saw the remastered. Like I was at a comic shop and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just pick up the trades. And then I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, they only put out the first like
It
12
looks like they've
issues or
only put
something.
out so far. They put out 16 issues, and the last one they did was in 2008. So I wouldn't hold
Yeah,
my
it was
breath
like
on
a super. Yeah,
that.
so they probably dropped off of it.
And it
That's why I
probably
was like,
didn't
fuck
sell
that.
well.
I'd rather just collect the whole thing in singles and do a sweet custom bind of like, like have it
I'm
really
really
nice.
interested in this now.
So I want to put it all together. But and then the cool thing is like there's mini like other mini comics within those comics cuz like the first few issues are like half issues. So
Okay.
they're like shared with something
Yeah,
else.
like backups.
So I was thinking of picking up because eventually like those backups some of them tie into the story, but the first I think like five or six issues, something like that. There's one it's like that story like forks off into its own book, but it's only two issues of that book, and that's it. But it's like an entire its own story. So I was thinking like, how would I go about getting those other two issues and incorporating it into a custom bind? Like, because if I were to cut the books,
Oh, it's
then
different.
you wouldn't be able to do a sewn binding. You would have to do a glued binding. So I was like,
Is
yeah, I
there a
don't
way
know.
to
I
like?
gotta
Because they're an oversized. Is that what the? Or they're smaller? Is that what the problem is?
No, no, they're regular size issues. But
Oh, I see what you're saying. You mean like it wouldn't be thick enough to do a
no, no,
sewn
it
bind?
would be. But what I'm saying is like since the first like six or so issues are like half issues, kind of like they're split between two different stories. But Scout is like the main title, and then there's a second like series going on that are like in the back issues of
Mm-hmm.
of that, and eventually like it finishes it those back stories like finish in its own book, but there's only like two issues of that book. So I'm thinking if I were to do a custom bind, um, you can't like cut the pages out.
Oh,
Like you
because they
can't.
need to have signatures. They need to be.
Yeah,
They need to be a full
yeah.
name.
So I'm thinking like
Could you put an
how.
artificial thing on it? Like, is there a way to? I don't know. I have no idea how custom binds work.
See, I
That's
don't know either. I don't know well enough. I just know that like if you were to cut the pages, you would end up having to make it be a glued binding.
Okay. Because
So
I
I'm like,
wonder. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. If I was paying for a custom, I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to have it glued.
yeah.
This looks
And then,
fascinating though, from what I'm like googling. I wish I knew more about Eclipse Comics because I'm really interested in
dude,
the
did I show
Airboy
you like
archives.
Alien World and all that stuff? See, here's like Scout. I got some of the singles.
Yeah.
You can see it. Like the art, the cover art's freaking fantastic,
Did
man.
Truman do all the interiors as well?
Yeah, I think so. Here's like the
Also, for
first.
those of you who are tuning in, it looks like Amani is not going to be joining us today. I thought she was, but possibly not. So I think, MJ, unless you have any objections, you want to just do like a casual chat for the next like 30, 40 minutes
Sure.
with whoever, if you want to ask questions, please do that, and then we'll get back to actual get a catting, get a horsing next week with more directed conversation. But I feel like just going off on a random tangents is fine for right now since there's no other. So anybody, please throw anything you want in the comments, and we'll just discuss anything that it comes up. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
we'll
didn't mean to interrupt your.
converse.
Yeah,
No,
we'll
no, no.
converse casually.
Yeah, the series, the second series, since I have the first issue right here, it's called Fashion in Action
Ooh.
is the other series. So, but
Yeah,
and
I
then
know Airboy or the Airboy archives is what I like know the most from Eclipse, and I'm super interested in those because I
those
wish I
are
was
like
joining
half
you.
issues as well.
Are they? There's only small ones.
Yeah, they're like super small, but those can be picked up, man, for pretty, like super cheap.
The paperbacks?
The not paper, the single issues of
Oh
those
yeah.
can be picked up really cheap on eBay.
I
I've
need
seen like full lots. Like Eclipse comics in general,
are
I
not
guess
that.
there's not a big like,
Yeah.
there's not like a big collection scene for them. So like they could like you can pick up whole runs of like their stuff for super cheap.
Yeah, I am. I need to look at the Airboy paperbacks because I know IDW is like either just about to or is going to in the future or maybe just did or I don't know what it's like very soon that Airboy Archives Volume 5 is coming out, which I think is the last volume. I don't actually know about that. But I need to see if they're like recolored and re-uglied
Mm.
cuz like I cannot fucking like I have right next to me. I was trying to collect Conan books for a long time, and so I have the Dark Horse Conan stuff, and like it looks like fucking trash. Like,
Is it all like
yeah,
digitally?
it's all this stuff.
Ooh.
Like it's as compared to like what it should look like if you look from, you know, back in the day. Like it's the same thing we were talking about last week with Frank Miller, where it's
Yeah,
like everything
they're applying
is
like modern world
yeah
like coloring schemes and stuff
schemes
to
on
stuff
this.
that's not designed for that.
Yeah, like all the background. I hate like if one of the things that really irks me about the recoloring is if you look at the backgrounds, it's all like these weird just off blues and off oranges and gradiated. Like I just can't stand it. And yeah, I like it was really disappointing to me because I wanted to collect this series, but it ends up all looking like a web comic to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't get behind it. And it's weird because I have King Conan books behind me, and the King Conan books are not recolored. The King Conan books are like from the 80s, and they left the coloring on those, which is strange. I don't
yeah.
know. So for anybody who's just joining us, because I know we just got a couple more viewers, we're just doing casual chatting today, just a casual live streaming, and please feel free to throw out any questions you have, and we'll discuss anything you want in the comics world. I'm interested, MJ, to get your take on a few things.
Yep, go for it.
Nintendo Switch.
Uh, you know what it sounds like to me? It smacks of PS Vita.
That's what
Uh,
I heard a couple of people say, and I fucking love my Vita.
oh,
I gotta
dude,
say,
I have a huge like Vita collection. I have like
Vita's
70 titles on.
underrated. One of the most under. I should have mentioned that. We should have done that in our last episode, dude. It's like
Yeah, Vita is fucking amazing.
so good. It's such
But
a.
like it smacks of all the promises of Vita
Yeah,
that
won't
Vita
deliver.
couldn't deliver, or like they mismarketed. Sony fucked up the Vita like
They
big
did.
time.
It's unfortunate because they like marketed it as having. It's weird. Like if you look at the launch lineup of the Vita, it's all like Killzone and like Uncharted and all these like big
AAA
AAA
titles.
things, but like the things that are good on the Vita are not those. It's
Though
like
I will say, Killzone is pretty fucking
no,
awesome
yeah, yeah. I'm not
on
saying that
on
those
V.
are bad. Like
No,
those
yeah,
aren't
but
bad games, but
yeah,
it's
they had like Resistance, Fall of Man,
yeah,
Call of
yeah,
Duty, and like
yeah.
everyone like invested heavily in all that shit. And then when people bought them, they're like, "Oh, it's not exactly like the consoles." And it's like, well, yeah, I understand. I don't know, man. It was just
I know.
bad.
I was disappointed. Oh, MJ. So Kyle was saying the sound is dipping in and out. Can you, if you go up on your Google Hangouts to settings to
Ew.
like that gear, the gear
Control room?
wheel.
Oh no no. Oh, I
Do
got
you,
you,
do
got
you
you.
have like a gear wheel at the very top?
I do.
When you click on that, is there a option that says voice like in a drop
Yes.
down? Can you change that to studio?
Mm, mm,
Is that possible for you to do, or
mm.
is that only
Yeah, I
something I
changed
can?
it.
Okay,
It's now Studio.
studio, good, because I found that that is a way to stop the limiting of it stops the auto volume adjustment.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I didn't know about it either. It could be actually Kyle though. It's dipping out because I'm like talking off to the side like this, and my microphone has a lower thing. So when I talk off to the side, it loses a lot of its things. So there we go. So that could be why, because I was turning around and looking at it going.
Yeah.
When Amani leaves, it just fucking falls apart, man.
Right.
I'm interesting. The Switch says, I think the Switch, apart from the name, is a great idea. I am very interested in it. Because I like my Vita, and I like the idea of having like a console that I can sit in bed and just, because like I play a lot of my Vita just like at night or whatever, just kind of sit there. And if there's a console like that that like natively works and plays, that I can play like Mario Kart, just like sitting in my bed online, like that's incredible. Like that's awesome. But I am very skeptical about a couple things. What is the battery life going to be on this? Because
Yeah.
I don't know how, if it really is. Well, there's two things that's tied to another thing. What is the battery life and what is the performance actually? Because like if the performance is up to the standard that I would like if it runs Zelda and Mario Kart and Mario games at 1080p 60, then holy shit, the battery life's got to suck. Or the other thing would
It's
be
gonna get
maybe they
hot.
sacrifice performance to have a longer battery charge. I don't know. I'm skeptical about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna buy it anytime soon, but
It depends on the price point for me.
like I
If
don't ever
it's
want anything to fail. That's one thing. Like I want it to do well. I hope it does fucking gangbusters.
I
Like I
hope it
hope
does
it
too.
like does so well that Nintendo's like revitalized to a point where they're putting out like badass shit all the time. But I'm also very like I don't get behind the hype train.
Mhm.
So I'm just kind of like, well, we'll see.
I'm in a weird place with it because I've wanted a Wii U for like the last year, because there's a lot of cool games like Smash
Yeah.
Brothers and Mario Kart and some of the Mario games and like the Metroid Prime remasters and stuff. Like I've wanted to play a lot of those things, but every time I think about buying it, I'm like, oh, this is a dead console basically. Like they're gonna dump it,
Yep.
and then it feels like this coming on, like they're in kind of a weird spot because like the Wii U did so abysmally bad, like really truly terrible. I don't even think it's cracked. Like I think it's sitting right now at like 10 million units sold or something like that.
It's at like Dreamcast
Yeah,
level.
it's awful. But they're in this weird place where it's like the software library is pretty good. It's not
No, yeah, that's the
enormous,
thing. Like
but
Wii
it's
U, like
strong.
as bad as it's performing, the games it has is super strong. I
Yeah.
had a Wii U for a while before I got rid of all my consoles, but um, yeah, man, it like despite it being like underpowered in comparison to like the PS4 and Xbox One, like it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like it's
No, I agree.
still like the games it had were fucking great.
Well, it's because it's one of those like things where it's art style over,
Yeah, it was
because
like
like
gameplay
for
over art style, like big time.
or even for me, art style over graphical fidelity in the sense of
Hmm.
like I would rather look at the Wind Waker and like then have them do kind of like this approximation of like real life. It's
Yeah.
like one of those things where it's like when I see Gears of War or whatever, it's like yeah, I can understand that that looks good. Like the fidelity of it
Mm-hmm.
incredible, but the art design is so goddamn boring. It's just like beefcake, macho, huge muscle, gray
Like dudes
men
with
in
like necks that go
yeah,
from their ears straight
to
to their.
like straight into their like biceps. Like it's so uninspired. I mean, I'm sure that the artist that created that stuff is not somebody who hates. I'm not, whatever. I don't want to get into that. But for me personally to look at, I just find it to be lacking in a visual flair and interest. And like
Mm-hmm.
with Nintendo games, it's like it doesn't matter if it's up to like the most rigorous spec. I just feel like if they have that Nintendo spark on it, then I'm interested. Like if it has that kind of thing, the Mario Kart and Smash Brothers, like play online, play with your friends. It's just fucking fun. Like they're just fun ass
Mm-hmm.
games. I don't know any. All right, Kyle says I don't know anyone who has even played a Wii U, let alone own one. Nintendo make great handheld consoles, and that kind of shows that they realize that. And I do agree with him. There is that the one thing that I feel like is the most positive aspect of this is if this replaces both the Wii U and the 3DS, it's going to be really nice to have both of the software teams working on the same
Working on
machine.
one machine.
Because like right now, or with Nintendo, since you know the Game Boy or since the Game Boy Advance, if you wanted to be a Nintendo fan, you basically needed multiple platforms to be getting like the best of what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be really nice for them to just consolidate the teams and be able to put out like an actually consistent lineup of games rather than being like 6 months between Wii U games and like 6 months between 3DS games and then just sort of overlapping them. But I don't know. I'm interested in it. I have a lot of questions about it, but I think it's cool. I think it's a cool
Yeah,
idea.
I hope it does well. I genuinely hope like it sells like crazy, and they put out a bunch of awesome games for it because I think that's one thing Nintendo does well. While I'm not
Yeah.
like a big Nintendo fan, like fanboy, but I think they like the stuff they put out is always of quality.
No, yeah, and I've been like saying when the Wii U came out and sort of like halfway into the Wii U cycle, my my like dream for Nintendo honestly was just to go away as hardware manufacturers and just to become software manufacturers, kind of to go like the Sega route
Mm-hmm.
and just make like incredible Mario games for the PC and the PS4, and to make like Pokemon for the Vita or whatever. Like I would love that because I feel like the hamstring that Nintendo has for me most of the time is their platforms, and the software I find to be like fantastic. Almost universally. Um, I'm interested in this one. Like it's weird because they showed like in the trailer they had footage of Skyrim running on it, and they also
Yeah,
had footage. Well, it's probably doctored. It's probably not actually running, but
yeah.
it's screen. So, but they had Skyrim and they had like a 2K basketball game,
Mm-hmm.
and that to me is a little weird because Nintendo's third-party relationships have been notoriously
Well, they showed an
strange.
image of like all their third party
Yeah,
support that they're going to be
they show
like.
that every fucking time, dude. There's
Yeah,
always a sizzle
that's
reel
what
of
happened with Wii U, and
yeah,
like it was like check out all this third party
yeah.
support, and that lasted maybe like a few months, and
Because
then
the problem is like it's a dual-edged sword where it's like if you want to make something that's so weird and innovative, you are also driving away a lot of third parties because when it comes down to it, like if Rockstar's looking at Grand Theft Auto and they're like, "Oh, this is easy to port to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One," and they have relatively the same controllers, they have relatively the same guts inside. It's like, how much more do we have to do to get it on a Nintendo platform? And then when we do, is that even the audience that wants to buy that?
yeah.
Like,
Well, I think the big thing with the Wii U was that it wasn't a PC based platform.
yeah,
Like PS4 and Xbox
they're
One are
just
pretty
PCs.
much they're PCs
Yeah,
running off of AMD chips,
yeah,
and the Switch is actually going to be running off of
it's
an
a Tegra.
of a yeah Nvidia chip. So it should be. I would think it would be a lot easier for them to like have third party support because even if the graphics aren't as or like the chips aren't as powerful as maybe the PS4 or the Xbox One,
It still uses the same
they
underlying architecture.
yeah, exactly, and they should be able to like, oh, instead of running it on high or like medium to high settings, we can run it on like medium to low
Yeah,
settings
because
or
you've
like
seen
some
like iPad games and stuff that are ports of older console experiences,
hmm
and I imagine are not that much more difficult to rejigger for that type of like NVIDIA Tegra based stuff. I know it's interesting as well. Like as we get into bigger games, like you were talking about your Xbox, if there's like a 60 gig, like if you pop Skyrim into this thing and you are actually playing Skyrim on a handheld, there's got to be like a 50 gig install on that. And
Yeah,
like
but
how
the
much space
benefit
can the thing take up?
the benefit is that they're using cards instead of
Yeah,
disk
yeah.
media, and cards nowadays like can hold much more than discs can, and they read fast. Like the read speeds on these cards are way faster than discs are.
So you're saying you
So I
think it
would
would
think,
be a full, like the entire Skyrim game would be contained on that
I don't know
chip
about that,
as
but
opposed to?
like I would say that like the speeds probably like install speeds might be faster, or like
Mhm.
reading speeds, so the game might load quicker. I don't know. I would think because they're using like like essentially like DS cards, would look
Yeah,
they
there's
look
just
like
like
DS cards.
SD
Yeah.
cards. Yeah,
Um. Yeah. So
I don't know. It's
maybe.
just weird. I just think of the fact that the new Xbox and stuff, like they're touting the fact that they have a 2 terabyte model as like one of it, or like my PlayStation is the 500 gig version, my PS4, and like I every once in a while I have to go out and just be like, oh, I need to clean all these games off of this to install a fucking 60 gigabyte game, and it's
Yeah.
like how much space can a handheld have as storage? Like, there's no way you can have 2 gigs of flash memory on that for a reasonable price. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I
I
don't know.
don't
It should
know.
be. It's interesting. I'm interested to see like where it goes.
As
And
am
this.
I.
Yeah. Should be fun
Next,
though.
next question. Not question. Steve Dillon passed away this week.
Dude, that bummed me out
That
so
bummed me
bad.
out
It
too.
was yesterday, right?
Yeah, it was yesterday
I
morning,
woke
and
up and I was like
made the
checking the
rounds.
news on my phone, and it like first thing it was like Steve Dillon passes away, and I was like, oh man, like it seriously like broke my heart a little
Yeah,
bit because he was still young, man.
he
He's
was, and he was
54.
not. He looked. It's
He
funny.
he looked
He
like the
looked pretty
picture somebody
ill.
posted it in the Facebook group like
Yeah,
of him for like 8 days ago or something, or
yeah.
like, and he looked really like
Well, he was
he
just
looked
at New
ill.
York
Yeah.
Comic Con a week and a half ago.
Yeah. So like, but man, it bummed me out so bad to like see that, and I was like, damn, because Preacher was like one of the first series that like I read getting into comic books, and so like him and Garth Ennis like together as a team, but like I don't know, I have like an association with him like as
Well, they
like,
worked on all
yeah,
of the
like
Punisher
hand in
that Ennis
hand
did,
pretty
and
much.
yeah,
But yeah, like just Steve Dillon's art in general, like anytime I see it, it's so like his style
hmm,
that it like you can't mistake it. Like anytime you come across it, you're like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Because it's so different
yeah.
and it's
I
like
did
so
not like it at
unique.
first. I
Yeah, a
was
lot of
like,
it's an acquired taste, I
I was
think.
not into it, and then I read his Punisher run with Garth Ennis, and as I read it, I warmed up to it greatly, and
Yeah.
then now my feeling about it is like when I see it in black and white, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah, I
this
think it's
I
of
like
its
it a
time.
lot better as line art without colors in it. I think it looks like really good actually as line
Yeah.
art.
I think it's definitely like he's a man, like his art style is of its time and it never changed.
Yeah,
And
I know
so
you're right. Yeah,
and like it's jarring because you get books nowadays like like runs where like artists change like every
two issues.
handful of books, yeah, and then all of a sudden bam, Steve Dillon's on the book and you're like, what the
Oh
fuck
yeah,
happened?
yeah,
And it's like you feel like you took the book like straight back to like the
to like
like early 90s or
I
some shit,
yeah
and then, like I loved it, man. Like
yeah.
at first like there was a Wolverine run that he was doing, and at first, like when I first came upon it, I was like, "What the hell
Yeah,
happened?"
I know,
I was
I
like,
know.
"Everybody looks like they have the same face.
Dude, that is
What's
my
going
one.
on?"
That is my biggest complaint with him. I have to say, like, despite loving a lot of what he did and like really enjoying it eventually, like when I was reading Jason Aaron's Punisher Max, the lack of facial, like, oh my, it's pretty bad. He has like one male face and one female face,
Yeah,
and then
but
he just changes them depending on how fat, skinny, old, or young the character is.
hmm but I still I love his work, man. Like it holds a place in my heart. and to see that he passed away at such a young age seriously like bummed me out yesterday.
No,
And
I
I
agree.
it made me want to like go through and read some more, like reread Preacher and like go through some of his other stuff like that Jason Aaron Punisher Max story. I want to reread that because his work on Punisher in general is pretty great.
Yeah, he's kind of like I mean, at this point, I think a lot of people, I guess Mike Zeck, I think a lot of people would see as kind of a defining Punisher artist for his like '80s stuff, and then I think that Steve Dillon is probably like the Punisher artist in a lot of people's mind, in terms of just mind share, association with a character.
Yeah.
I I also think this brings up an interesting point about the speculative market and the turnover and unfortunately the inevitable passing of a lot of comic book creators, because I was texting my friend this, like, my buddy Ryan, who was in my, like, if you saw my Baltimore Comic Con stuff, if anybody was watching that, he went to the con with me. He's a big, like, sketch signature grading kind of guy. Like, that's what
Hmm.
he's into, is like he gets sketches and signatures and he gets them slabbed and graded and stuff, and he's like very aware of the secondary market for different creators, like in a way that I am not, because
Yeah.
when I get stuff signed or sketched, it's just for me, really, like I'm just interested in it. And as soon as I texted him, I was like, oh, Steve Dillon passed away, and he was like, oh shit, and then he was texting me back like 10 minutes later. He's like, everything's gone off eBay. And it was the same thing that happened with Darwin Cook when he
Yeah.
passed away
I
like a
remember
little while
that.
ago. It's like all of a sudden, as soon as the news breaks, people just buy up their signatures and their books and their sketches, and then those people like buy them up instantly that know about it, and then they sell them back at like an increased price to people who are now being like, oh fuck, I never got a Steve Dillon's commission, like I need to get one now. I was just gonna let it go because he was gonna be there forever. Same thing happened with Herb Trimpe. Guys that everybody was like, oh yeah, he'll be at the next con. He'll be at the next con. I'll just get a signature from him then. And then sometimes it just doesn't happen. Darwin Cook and Steve Dillon were both in their 50s, I think. You
Yeah, they're
know,
still relatively young.
so I think comics are gonna be in a weird place with the speculative like collector market in another 10 or 15 years, when I mean Stan Lee is not long on this earth. Like, he's
Yeah.
like 92 or something like that. And like, and a lot of those guys already have passed around, um or have passed, like Joe Kubert, Jack Kirby, um uh, Wally Wood, Will Eisner. Like, there's a lot of people that have passed away. So like, I think it's going to be interesting because we're going to see sort of like the end of guys who are around in the 60s and 70s, like in not too long. And I'm just wondering, like, if the collector market and stuff, like what's going to happen with that as these people kind of like pass on, and if the market's just going to like implode because everything's going to become so ridiculously expensive until people realize that, like, oh shit, Stan Lee did 10 million signatures in his lifetime. Like, maybe it's not worth as much as I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, it makes sense because there's a my dad. He's a big Muhammad Ali fan,
Mm.
and for a while he was like big into like Muhammad Ali signatures and stuff. And so he was telling me, he's like, yeah, there's a ton of these out there. There's a ton of this out there. So like, even though like he's passed away, some of this like might be worth something, but it's not really worth all that much because of how much is out there.
Exactly.
He's like, it's more so like unique items
Mm.
that are like going to be the collecting, like, the collector's thing. He doesn't really collect signatures anymore. He hasn't done it since I was a kid, but he still has like certain items that he didn't get rid of, that he's just like, no, no. Like, he has a Muhammad Ali like candy bar wrapper that's like signed by him, and it's like Muhammad Ali branded candy.
Yeah, yeah.
He has like Muhammad Ali shorts. He has a fight poster, the Rumble in the Jungle poster signed, like an actual like bill
Yeah, from
that's signed. He's got a bunch of like really awesome Muhammad Ali stuff,
well,
but
and that's
yeah,
exactly to my point, is that like, as the market, like, so let's say Stanley passes away, and then all of a sudden people are buying and selling and trading like books that are just signed by him, but that are like normal ass books
Yeah,
for
like
a
it's not.
rapid, for a hugely increased value. And then once you're like you're saying, collectors realize like, oh, there's a ton of these out there, and then everything just deflates in value so rapidly, and so many people get burned and get out of the game. And it's like it's sort of what happened in the '90s, is that like everybody all of a sudden is collecting all of these comic books, like these limited edition Death of Superman and like all this stuff, and then like you realize, oh, there's a bunch of these out there. They were printed to be collector's pieces, and that they're not really worth anything. And then the market just crunches on itself. It's unfortunate. Weekend at Bernie style.
I had to.
What was the other thing? There was one more thing. Um,
You know what I'm
NX.
seeing a lot of people complaining about in the Facebook group is the fade out, the format
Yeah, that is
of
interesting
the art.
because I think it's the same thing. 'Cause I have Fatale 1 and 2,
Yeah,
and I
it's the
think
same
that's the
thing.
same thing. Yeah.
hmm It's the exact same thing. I don't know. I think it's artist's intent and whether or not like, you know, I don't think people are like it should fill the whole page. I'm like, yeah, but maybe the blocking in that way is like it's done for a reason to like invoke a certain aesthetic or a certain feeling.
So my question is, because I don't collect this, what MJ is referring to, if you are not up and up on it, is that recently the Fade Out, which was a Brubaker and Sean Phillips series, got a hardcover release, and people were a little bit miffed because the art does not fill the pages in a way that it usually would on an oversized hardcover. It has like a large white border. So, and I was looking at my books, and I think that's, like I was just saying, that's not the first time that this has happened with a Brubaker oversized that he did with Sean Phillips. So, if you get it, have you ever collected single issues of Sean Phillips stuff? Does that mean that
No, I
like
haven't.
in the single issues there's that much space as well, so the art is even smaller in the single issues?
I haven't. I don't know. I haven't like looked into it, but I mean, I figure like they have creative control when the books are being
Yeah,
printed.
especially for image.
So I'm wondering if like if it's like a like the same way like how we were talking about film aspect ratio in
Mm-hmm.
film. Like I wonder if it's the same idea that like Sean Phillips when putting it out in like a this deluxe format wanted it to be like a certain way, you know, to like evoke a certain feeling or like I said aesthetic. Maybe like it's the creator's intent and so people complaining about it I understand, but like I don't know.
Yeah, I guess
I would go over like the creator's intent over like what you
my
want,
question
what the
is
consumer
just
wants.
oh,
Oh, it's my
puppy
dog.
dog. My question is just like, if I would need to know about the original, because if the original printing had the same border, like white border, like thing, and the so if you get like a standard size, it's even smaller. Then it makes sense to me to scale it up to an oversized hardcover, and you would still get the border. But if there's
hmm
not a border in the original printing, and you're basically just using the same size art and creating a white border for the oversized hardcover, then why are you even putting it out in deluxe in the first place? Like, I guess I just don't
Yeah.
understand what the difference between collecting it in paperback and deluxe would be at that point. What?
Yeah, I could also see that. Like I also see it would be another like TV reference, I guess. It would be like watching a DVD that's in wide format but not anamorphic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still like a 4:3.
Yeah.
Like it's still wide. So you're having all this like black space, like it looks windowed almost. So I could understand that too, where you're just like, damn it, it would be so much better if they just brought it out a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I always go over creators. Like if that's what they wanted, then that's like I'd prefer that over what we want.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. I think that's one of like the biggest faults of like modern video games and stuff. Like, do you know BioWare puts out like surveys of like what would you like to see in the next
Man,
Mass Effect game? What would you like to see in the next Dragon Age game? I think that is crap. I think that is like a bunch of bullshit, because if you poll everybody in the world on what they would want to see in what they're like, watching or reading or whatever, like you would get such a shit product trying to please so many people. Like I just think as a creator, you should make what is true to you, and then you will find audience that it resonates with, and you'll find audience that it doesn't resonate with. But that's good. Like, everybody
Yeah.
shouldn't like everything. Like, one thing shouldn't be loved by everyone, because when
Yeah,
you
when you
have,
cater to everybody, it's
it's
like,
just boring. It's just nothing. You know, it's like blockbusters. Like a lot of blockbusters, when you try to be like, oh, well, we're gonna have some explosions, but we're gonna have some tits in there too for people that want to see that. But then like maybe there's gonna be a scene with like where your dad, you lose him and you cry a little bit. We got some emotion. It's like it's just so frustrating. It's like just make something that has an artistic vision, and then if you're somebody, which is what I always like say to people when they complain about stuff like, oh, this isn't what I want to see in a video game. I'm like, good, that's good. That go make a game. Like if you're
yeah,
reading comics and you're like, oh, I can't find anything in the comic book world that's good right now. It's like, then go make your comic. Like go write your truth into a comic book. Like if you really feel like nothing is resonating with you, then there must be other people like that, and go and make that thing for them and for you. Like
yeah.
that's always been my feeling of it. It kind of bothers me when people try to like,
You get this like homogenization
yeah,
of like
exactly.
whatever format it is that you're trying to express yourself in, and then it no longer becomes expression. It becomes like, how can I appease you? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
I
how
don't
I
like it.
feel about like a lot of modern uh, films, like more like tent pole films. I feel like they're very often the same movie, just with like a different like
Absolutely.
thing slapped on top of it. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like Ghostbusters, it's just like Pixels. It's just like, like it's the same fucking thing,
Yeah.
just with a different coat of paint
It's
on
like,
it.
you liked it last time, right? What about this
Yeah,
time? It's like, and then people are still like,
exactly.
oh yeah, and they're like, hey, I remember that thing you liked. Like, you really liked that. What about this time? It's like, dude,
Yeah,
fucking stop. Yeah, it's that's especially with the BioWare stuff. Like that has always peeved me. That it basically they do that kind of thing. I mean, and I get focus testing just to see if you're gonna make money. Like, I'm sure as a big company, it sucks to dump in $300 million into something and find out that, oops, nobody liked it.
yeah.
Like,
That the
I'm sure
audience
that
isn't
sucks a lot.
there.
Yeah, but that's also like when you get to that level of production, and you're not making it. It becomes a different thing. Like it really does become about how to shift the most units, and it's not really about how to make the best game at that point. Which is why microtransactions are in games. Like I don't think any developer ever sits down and is like, "Oh, you know what would make this better? If you could pay 50 cents to win." Like I don't think
Yeah,
anybody wants that in their games, but it's when you're making it and then the publisher's like, "Hey, listen, guys, uh, we're gonna need to find out a way to milk an extra $15 out of every customer. Like, how are we gonna make this happen?" Like, well, I guess
yeah.
we can make tokens that cost real world money. Like,
It's like,
it's
hey, do you want
frustrating.
that special helmet?
Yeah,
All right, and now you can pay $2 for that one unique helmet. Oh, okay,
yeah.
I
I
guess.
find microtransactions to be like really,
I
really
find,
frustrating, especially
yeah.
now that they're creeping their way into. They're not even creeping; they're just fucking there. Now they're in $60 games now, like they're in
Hmm.
full price. They're in full price releases. Like I could sort of see the defense of it. I mean, I wasn't happy with it, but when people were like, "Oh no, it's a free to play game," like you can buy everything on your own if you just play enough, but it's going to take you 72 hours of investment in it to get the same thing as it would take $5 dollars. I could see that, like that kind of makes sense. But then now when it's like, all right, everybody's paying $60, everybody gets the same game, and now on top of that, you want to buy another? I'm like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
like
it's like paying
stop.
for cheat codes,
Skins
bonus
and
content
yeah,
for
it is.
whatever.
It's like all this stuff that would have been in a game, you know,
Yeah, like 10 years
15
ago.
years ago
Yeah,
as
yeah,
just unlockable stuff. It's like, oh yeah, you want to play Tomb Raider with classic Lara skin? How about you throw a couple bucks their way? I'm like, fuck
yeah.
you. Like,
Where
just
10 years
feels
ago it would have been like, just
gross.
run this course like in her house with under a minute, and then you unlock like
Yeah,
this T-shirt of hers, or like, you know, shit like that. No, you're just like, fuck, man. Like they
yeah.
started doing that in the Battlefield games too,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and that was annoying. It's like, hey, you want to unlock this gun that would take you a while to unlock? Here, just pay this money, and then it automatically unlocks it and all of its buffs and all of its like things that you can put onto it. Like, it's like, why, man? You're
Especially
just
for stuff where
fucking
it's
ruining
multiplayer,
it.
where there's like a balance between, like when things are. It's just some of the Call of Duty games and some of the Battlefield games. It's like the unlocked guns that you get at higher levels are objectively better, and so it feels weird to make that just
Like, yeah,
something that
just a
you can
pay
just roll in
barrier,
with
and
a
then
pay
you just,
barrier. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah,
Yeah, and Shretet says saying that the only thing is that 10 years ago developing games was much cheaper, and that's true. I mean, like we're at this weird place where it's like AAA development is too bloated. Like you need to, you know, the cost of producing something is so enormous. Like Destiny, for example. Destiny famously, Activision came out and said they spent $500 million on development and marketing for Destiny. So like the only way to recoup that is to either put it out and have microtransactions, which I don't believe Destiny did. Maybe they did at some point, but I don't think they did. Or to put it out and then keep doing paid DLC every 4 months so people don't trade their game into GameStop, to be like,
yeah.
oh, like hold on to your game because in 3 more months we're gonna get a new map. Like hold on to your game because in 4 more months you're gonna get a new set piece or whatever. Like it sucks, but you're right to say that the development is so astronomical and so weighty and huge that you can't just put something out and hope it sells. Because aside from Grand Theft Auto, which sells legitimately 500 million or 50 million copies, like actually sold 50 million copies, most games don't move those numbers. Like most games, if they sell anywhere between 10 and 20, people are pretty jazzed. Wait, what are people rating? Yeah. It's tough. I don't know. Game development's tough, but I mean, we're also in a good spot now that indie games are so prevalent, accessible, and you know can be seen and played in an easier way.
Yeah, I think indie games are some. I prefer indie games more than AAA
Oh
titles
yeah,
personally.
absolutely. I think they're doing a lot more interesting things in a lot of cases.
Yeah, like a lot of the time, I guess people are just like, "Oh, it's an indie game." It's like, why do you have that mentality? It's a game. Like, if it's a good game, then why the fuck should it matter? Like, it's creative, it's interesting. Like, they don't have the same budget as like these AAA titles, so maybe the graphics aren't as good, but they have to be innovative, and in order to be innovative, like, it makes it more interesting a lot of the times.
Yeah, but MJ, you're an open-minded person. I think you're forgetting that there's a lot of people out there that aren't. They see a game and
No,
they're
yeah,
like,
I know.
"Is this
I'm aware.
2D? This looks like Game Boy trash. I shouldn't pay money for this." Like, dude,
Yeah, no.
it doesn't matter what it looks like. Like Shovel Knight or whatever. Like, these are incredible games. Like,
Oh,
there's
Shovel Knight's great.
there's so many good games that are made on smaller budgets. That's also an interesting point. Senso G says he's right, or she, or whatever the gender of your
They are
particular
right.
person. They are right. That there's no middle class game devs anymore. Like it used to be that you had like the THQs of the world, which is what they say here, is that like would publish budget games from anywhere from like 30 to $40. A lot of licensed games, a lot of shovelware kind of stuff. And then that just like went away because the cost of game development became too high. So now we're at like these polarizing points where it's like you're either spending $500 million Destiny, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto style in the hope that you recuperate that by selling fucking 40 million copies of your game, or you're spending hardly anything, you know, indie dev style in the hope that you sell, just a couple 100,000 units to recuperate it.
That same model is being used in the movie
Yeah,
industry
with like the
too,
purge
like
and shit like that.
where they do these fucking like million, like $100 million fucking films, and then all of a sudden, like they're supposed to be tentpole films, but they're no longer tentpole films. They're just giant films that like they're throwing all this money at in hopes to make some of the money. Like it doesn't even seem like they're hoping to do like what Jurassic World did or something, where they
Hmm.
throw a shit ton of money, and then it blows up, and then it's worth all, like it makes double its money. It's like playing roulette and playing only black and red and hoping that you make like it's easy money in that sense, but like the gamble is so much bigger. And then you have these like micro studios like the Blumhouse films, Blumhouse pictures, where they invest like like 1 million, 2 million, and that's about it. And then they try and make their money back that way, like by playing the short game or the long game in that sense of like investing just a little bit of money and putting in some marketing, and hopefully like it'll make its money back plus some. But it's not like this huge and like return. Sometimes it is, and that's what they hope
Well,
for.
I mean, that's the
But
hope
there's
is
no
like
middleman
if you
anymore.
make something that's $1 million or $2 million, and you only make 10 out of it, it's like holy fuck, we quadrupled our
Yeah,
investment.
exactly.
But
But
it's
it's
like if you
not. But
put $250 million and you only make $300 million, it's like, well, we made $50 million, but our the actual return on the investment, like percentage wise, is so much worse.
exactly. And like it's interesting. It's like why I understand like you're trying to do like make these giant tentpole films, but why not take one of those tentpole films and make more like mid-level investments instead? And I guess the same could be said about game development. I don't know anything about game development in general, um, but I think it'd be interesting like seeing more studios go for those like mid-tier investments as opposed to like like the Destinies or shit like that. But I guess that's what sells, and that's what people want is just like the seventh installment of some fucking game
Yeah,
series like
and I
Call of
think
Duty or some shit.
and I think for games especially, there's a want of a need to validate your purchase of a console, and like some of the validation of that for a lot of people I think comes with being like, what is the biggest, craziest, most graphically high fidelity showpiece that I can put on this thing, you know? So like, there's something to be said about if you buy a PS4 and you buy the next Uncharted game. Like, I think a lot of people expect it to be like next gen. They're like, what's so next gen about this Uncharted thing? It's like, how big are the explosions? How interactive are the environments? Like, how expansive is everything? So it's like, it can't just be the same as last time, and it has to like push the boundaries of what it can like do on the medium. I don't know. It's which is a bummer because I don't think that.
I would
Uh,
rather have a fucking great playing game than a game that
that looks amazing.
looks amazing and plays like
Yeah.
shit. But like even nowadays, like there's people talking that the whole next gen idea, like every single time we jump a platform, the returns
Are
are
diminishing.
like yeah they're diminishing. Like so why are people investing so much in this whole next gen idea? Why not invest more in like gameplay?
Well, and
I
that's
don't know.
sort
I don't
of
know.
what
I just think it's
seems
an
like it's.
interesting like the way the market is just interesting. I think also the consumer base has a large push into that idea set of just like, oh, I need the best next
Yeah,
gen
yeah,
thing, and
yeah.
it's like, yeah, but the best next gen thing is like so marginal in comparison. Like, I don't know. It's weird to me.
Well, it's also one of those things where it's like, I buy a PS4, but then a lot of the games that I like love the best on it, like it might be Tetris. It's like anything can fucking run Tetris. Like my fucking toaster can run Tetris. Like, but that doesn't,
I want your
you know,
toaster.
that doesn't mean I don't even have a toaster. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that it's a worse game,
Yeah.
but I think we were talking about earlier the Xbox One versus the S versus the PS4 versus the Pro. I think the console generation is definitely breaking down in that sense. Like, I think companies now, like Microsoft especially, sees this future where they're doing Apple style releases, where it's like this year you get the Xbox 5, and then 6 months from now you're gonna get the Xbox 5S. But all the games are gonna work across Xbox 3 and 4 and 5. It's just not gonna look as great, on Xbox 3. And then the next year when the Xbox 6 comes out, it's like, okay, now the 3 is being phased out. Just like iPhones. So I
Yeah.
think I think that's like the future that they are seeing, because as things become more PC um, architecture focused, you can get stuff to run on a lot of variety of machines at just at different graphic fidelities. Like, like we were talking about before, it's like if you have a brand new Xbox versus an old Xbox, you can just tune the graphics down to like low PC. I mean, I'm sure I'm vastly oversimplifying this,
Yeah.
but the point being that like from this point on, with consoles being basically computers in boxes and not being like proprietary, you know, Super Nintendo stuff like that. Like in theory, I would think that you would be able to have a game that works on this Xbox as well as the next 3 Xboxes. It just won't run nearly as well on this Xbox. Like I would
Yeah.
imagine if we keep going with the PC architecture. Senso G is talking about the Order 1886. We actually talked about the Order 1886 last episode in our underrated games thing. I mentioned that. I think it's an underrated game. I will agree
At
that the
at its current price point.
at its current price point, yes, I will agree that the gameplay is not amazing, but I think like in terms of just cinematic experience, it is really cool. You can get it now for $7.99, or no, it was on sale for $7.99. It's now you can get it for $20 on PSN, and if you have a GameStop near you, you can probably get it for $9 used. I would recommend checking it out. Like you have to go in with the understanding that you're only going to be spending 6 hours with it and basically watching an interactive movie. But if you're in the mood for that, which I sometimes am, I think it's a cool thing. But I also do agree that it is a prime example of what we're talking about, where you're right, like it is a game that was, I'm sure, hugely expensive and laborious to develop to get that kind of tech and fidelity running, but then ultimately gameplay wise is not very satisfying. It is kind of an example of what we're talking about.
Do you ever play Hotline Miami?
Yeah, I love Hotline
I
Miami.
love
Those are so
those
cool.
games.
They have a great
the music is
soundtrack
fucking
vibe.
fantastic.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah.
When you like go into the tripped out like thing with all the masks and it's like boom,
Yeah, and it turns into like this weird like synth wave,
yeah,
like
it is that is a very cool game.
vaporwave type stuff.
Vaporwave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was also a point brought up recently. Who said it? I don't remember. Somebody in the chat said that we're getting stuff. Oh, here we go. Says we're slowly getting into indie games with top graphics like The Witness, and he's right.
Yeah,
I think
we
The
are.
Witness was a $30 game, maybe, perhaps 40. It certainly was above. Like we are kind of working our way back into mid-tier publishing, where it's like it used to be that no indie game was like more than $9, and then digital downloads and indie games became more prevalent, and they became a bigger investment for a lot of people, and then they moved into the $20 range, and now we're getting things like The Witness, Inside was a big one from this year, and I think those are probably like $20, $30, $40 games. And yeah, so I mean that like indie games as they become more of an industry are starting to fill in that mid tier again. I just hope they don't. I hope they never get too big. Like I hope that Jonathan Blow, for example, the guy who did Braid and the guy who did The Witness, like I hope that after The Witness he's able to just either step back and do something smaller or just do something different altogether, and doesn't feel like he needs to now make a $60 game, like to keep escalating the size of it. I don't know. We've been chatting for like an hour. Do we have any more topics? Where are we going?
I don't know.
Anything else on your mind?
Are you a big horror movie guy? Because I've noticed I'm big on October in general, and like the whole spooky vibes that go out throughout all of October. And I don't know if you are like, do you do anything to celebrate like the month or no? Aside, because I know your birthday's on the 20th.
Yeah, my birthday was
So
just
happy
last week.
belated birthday!
Thank you.
So now I get to say it to you on camera.
I like horror stuff. I'm not like huge big on this genre. The things that I like the most are like kind of camp horror, like kind of scary, weird, but also funny and over the top violent. Like my favorite ones would be Like the Evil Dead stuff, I like. Dawn of the Dead, I
Have you seen
love.
Tucker and Dale
Yep,
versus?
I like Tucker
Yeah,
and Dale
okay.
vs. Evil a lot. I really enjoy what's the Peter Jackson movie from Dead Alive? Fucking loved
Yeah,
that movie.
Dead Alive's pretty
Like
great.
that's kind of my.
Have you seen Bad Taste?
No, I
It's his
haven't.
movie before Dead Alive.
Is it pretty gnarly too?
It's yeah, it's pretty gnarly. It's super low budget. It's
Yeah,
pretty cool though. It's
I
enjoyable.
like that stuff. Like I tend to be more into that style of like I guess 70s 80s kind of like gore fest tongue in cheek horror. I have to say that, and I've seen a little bit of like we were talking about what Suspiria and
Hmm.
um, the Lucio Fulci zombie stuff.
Yeah, some Italian
Yeah,
stuff.
I do dig those. And then from recent years, I've seen some stuff I loved the Babadook. I love that movie. I haven't seen It Follows, but I really want to.
It Follows is very much a John Carpenter send up.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh,
if
The
you're really
Thing.
into like the
Fucking love The
70s,
Thing. Yeah, I
yeah.
love Escape from New York. I love all those.
Senso actually my I'm gonna plug my podcast, my other one. Sorry, it's Podmax podcast. We just today released a episode recommending a movie from each decade, starting from the 70s up
Oh,
to
nice.
current. So it's just kind of stuff that's
Horror
more
stuff.
off the yeah. It's all horror movies, and it's all like off the beaten path. It's not like typical like Jason
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Freddy
I'll have to
Krueger.
check that out.
So
I'd love to see that list.
yeah, so I like we each me and Joe like kind of give one movie for every decade. So if you want to check that out, it's you can hear it on Podmax podcast.
Ooh. Yeah, it is. I highly recommend you check that podcast out. I mean, and I think like found footage became a thing that was really big in horror
I'm
movies
not
in the last.
man, I
and
struggle with found
I'm not
footage
big on it
time.
either. So like I feel like a lot of stuff from I kind of just tuned out a lot of stuff from the last little bit. And like I'm not
You
a
know,
big jump scare guy. Like
oh man,
I
I
either
do
like
not like jump scares.
I
Like
don't
I
know.
like a well-earned jump scare. That's
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
the difference. Like you have to earn it.
You have to earn it.
And if it's just like you're throwing shit at the camera every 10 seconds or whatever, then like it's just
It's
like
not
okay,
fun.
stop. It's not scary.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything to like earn your scare.
Like I would I either like horror movies that are kind of like deeply psychological, like almost not obviously scary, but like really disturbing.
Dude,
Or
you
I
need
like
to
stuff
watch The
that
Possession
the possession
from
I
the
haven't seen.
70s.
Yeah.
It's with Sam Neill.
Oh, wait,
It's
is that the one with the
super
woman where she's like screaming
yeah.
and like running? I have seen that little bit of it, but I've heard
That
it's
one
really
is
creepy.
just like a whole like thing about like relationships and falling apart, like how they're falling apart, but
I like Sam Neill
it's
too.
fucking terrifying. It's a beautiful film too. But
Yeah, it's like
one you
that
should
stuff
check
I'm
out.
into, and then like I said, I'm into like practical effect, tongue in cheek splatter stuff.
Yeah, me too. You should check out
Yeah.
Dead Next Door. It's from the
Write these down.
90s, and that one's very it was like a super low budget movie, but like heavy and like splatter effects and stuff. It was like a VHS staple throughout the 90s, but Sam Raimi actually produced it. He
Okay.
was one of the co-producers. So
And he's
and
kind of
I
a
think
progenitor of that stuff.
yeah, Bruce Campbell is actually does a voice
Nice.
some voice work on it too. So I would check it out. It's got like some badass splatter effects though, like practical work. But it's like super low budget. It was shot on like I want to say like 8mm film or something.
Oh, okay.
So
Even in
but
the
it's pretty
90s,
cool,
wow.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind horror. I'm not. I like it, but I think I would be more in line with like liking the stuff that you're talking about, and less in line with like big budget horror movies from recent years.
Yeah, I don't really follow a lot of big budget stuff, but there's been some good stuff like within the last few years, man. I'm surprised like the output from
Do you
some
want to
of the
give a quick
studios.
rundown for them? Do you have like, if you guys can think of off the top of your head from the last decade, do you have any ideas?
One that I would really recommend, it's more like art house. It's a big time like art house film. But it has what's her name? The girl who plays Black Widow. I forget her name. It just like slipped my
Scarlett
mind.
Johansson. Are you
Yeah,
about
there
to
you
say
go.
Under the Skin?
Yes, that
That's
movie
one
is
of my favorite movies
fucking
of all
amazing.
time.
that
Dude,
one.
that movie is unbelievably good.
Yeah. So that movie, there's a scene in that film that is just like so heart-wrenching and like horrific, and it's that scene at the beach. So
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm
I know
talking about.
exactly what you're talking about the
Like
couple.
that scene sticks with me so much. Like it's just an
That
intense
movie
movie.
is un I that movie's like everything to me. I mean, just
Yeah.
if you have the same aesthetic taste as like what MJ and I have been talking about with some of these films, like oh my god, even just when it starts, it's like you know, it has like the crazy dissonant music and stuff, like, and it
Yeah, it
just
has
sets you
the
in this place that is so creepy and fucking awesome.
it's a great movie. That's one that's like that came out recently. I would say Ex Machina. I don't know
I
that
have
it's
not
really
seen
like
that.
horror movie. It's like more thriller based, but it's fucking awesome. Deals with like the idea of like automata, um, and just like relationships, like people's human relationships with androids
Mm.
that are sentient. It kind of deals with that type of stuff. That one's really good. Um, what else
Also,
came
Benjamin
out
Yoon
recently?
asked, "Did we mention Peter Jackson's Dead Alive?" Yes,
Yes, we did.
I mentioned it as being something I really enjoyed from that practical effects stuff. I mean, I remember the first time I watched that movie, and it starts out kind of like hokey, and I was like, I don't really understand this. Like, is it gonna get, you know? And then like as it progresses, I was like, holy shit. And then as it progresses more, I was like, holy fucking shit. And then you
Yeah.
get to the end, and I was like, I can't even like begin to wrap my head around how they brought this whole experience into film. Like, it's so weird and crazy. Ex Machina is great and has a goat dance scene. Oh yeah, I've seen it. Isn't it like Oscar Isaac's dancing with the android?
Yeah. The Witch was.
Oh,
I
I
know
really want to see that.
a lot of people didn't like it
I've heard
because
it's
they're
like a
like, it's not a horror
slow
movie,
burn
it's a
horror.
period piece.
Yeah.
The entire movie is spoken in that period's dialogue,
Hmm.
and it's a movie that's really slow, but it's one of those ones that just slowly ratchets up the tension
Yeah.
just throughout the whole movie and plays with the idea of like um kind of like just rumors being spread around the family of like, oh no, she's a witch, no, she's a witch, she said this, and he said, and it just like builds and like slowly twists it up
Twist.
to
I
like
like that.
this
I can get behind
this
that.
like cacophony moment of like, you know, of like an event, and you're just like, holy shit, and then it builds it and it builds it and builds it. um that's a really good one. Eden Lake, is that the one with
I
the
don't know that movie.
kids, like they're killer kids, if I remember right, or am I thinking a different one? Um, Sorry.
No, no.
I'm trying to think like what other, because I don't really follow a lot
Have
of
you seen The
modern
Babadook?
horror. Yeah, I have.
Did you enjoy it?
Uh, I really enjoyed it. There's some things that I think they could have. There was one thing that really bothered me about it is the fact that they use stock monster sounds.
Oh, did they
Um,
really?
yeah, there's a sound that they use for the Babadook that is straight out of Doom 2. So, and I used to play I used to play Doom 2 a lot. So the fact that like I hear that noise and I just instantly think like imp, like, you know, like a 1995
Interesting.
imp like attacking you, and I'm like, fuck man, why did they have to do that?
See,
Like,
I didn't make that association. That's funny.
but I loved it, man. As far as the ending go, I think it's sad and poetic at the same time. A lot of people were like, "That's dumb. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
get it." And
yeah.
like for me, I'm like, it's her living with like, I don't
It's
know.
like
My
living with the grief.
interpretation,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's living with grief. It's like, for me, it was her living with resentment towards her child,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, dude,
and like,
the kid sucks hard in that movie.
yeah. Well,
He's
that's
the
the point of the
worst kid.
kid, you know,
Yeah,
and
it's
like
so
that's the
bad.
point of it. But for me, I was like, man, that's so sad because it's not really talked about a lot, but a lot of time there are times where like mothers give birth to their children and they don't instantly love their kids. They
Yeah.
just put up with them.
Hmm.
And while that's not openly discussed, it is something that does happen. And I feel like this is a movie that kind of touches on that, especially like considering
The wicked
the
husband's death.
yeah, exactly, like the husband died in the process of like trying to get the wife to the hospital. So like there's that association with it, and she like just resents her child throughout the entire fucking movie,
Yeah.
and it builds to like this point, and the Babadook is just like a physical like
Manifestation of that.
manifestation,
Yeah.
yeah, of that, and that's why like at the end of the film, spoilers. I'm just gonna throw this out there.
You
Spoilers.
should still see it though, because
Yeah, you should still
as
see
just
it.
like a horror piece, it's really quite good.
At the end of the film, they're essentially living with the Babadook, and
Yeah, it's in
every
their
like that's why
basement.
the kid is like, "How was it today?"
Mm.
It's because every day it's something that you have to fucking deal with. That she has to deal with is the resentment for her child. That's the way I
I do
interpreted
like that
it,
interpretation.
and
That is
it's just
similar to what I would see it as.
so that's the way I interpreted it. Like when I saw the film, and that's the big thing for me is like horror movies that have like open-ended interpretation, like
Mm.
something that you can get out
It's
of
I
it
think it's a lot
without it.
scarier, like that kind of thing, especially when it's not like because when something's explained so explicitly,
Yeah,
it's like that famous H.P. Lovecraft quote. It's like the oldest emotion is fear, and the strongest fear is fear of the unknown. Like
yeah,
kind of going away with something being like, what was that? Is so much creepier.
yeah. So I don't know. I really enjoyed the Babadook. I thought like there was some small things like the sound stuff, like, but other than that, like I really dug
Did you
it,
see
and I don't understand. Like I understand why a lot of people hated it because
the kid sucks?
you had William Friedkin being like, it's the scariest movie I've seen, like, and then coming from William Friedkin, it's like, holy shit, it's got to be intense, and then it builds this crazy hype around it, and then it, like, your general public goes to see it, and the general public is used to like, boo, boo, hey, look at that hallway, boo, I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
you. Like they're used to that shit,
It'll get
and
you.
all of a sudden, like that's not what they're being fed. So they're like, this is boring. It's like, no, it's not. It's a lot more well thought out than that.
Yeah. Did you see a girl walks home alone at night?
No, I haven't
I
seen it
haven't
yet,
seen it
but
yet.
it's on my list of movies. Actually, I've been, well, like I've been doing
You've been doing
seven,
the yeah.
yeah, the 31 days of horror movies. I watched some really good stuff this week, and I was like, man, I really enjoyed that. I'm glad I knocked that off my
Is it
list.
stuff
Like I
you've
got
seen before or not?
no, I've been trying to watch stuff I haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually what I try and do all throughout Halloween. Is I try and like try not to do anything that I've visited already. So I watched The Wicker Man, the original.
The original? I haven't seen the original. I've only seen the Nick
Holy
Cage
shit,
stuff.
man! It is fucking weird.
Yeah, I've
Like
heard
I
it's pretty
loved it
creepy.
though. It's like a musical.
Really?
Yeah, which I don't hear anybody talk about. I don't hear any. I usually hear
I
people
did
say
not know
like they
that.
either love it or they hated it, and then it's not scary. And I'm like, for me, it's like so unnerving the entire movie because he's like on this island, and throughout the entire time, it's just like he's constantly seeing things that are just like they're different. They're different from what what we are used to like as a society. So
Mm-hmm.
he's seeing like people openly having sex and like talking about sex, and like even in like the classrooms they're talking about like the erect penis and like educating girls about this, like little girls at like age 9 or 10 or something. And like throughout the whole movie there's these songs that are just like really jovial, like folk 70s 60s style songs, but the lyrics to them are like
Like
highly
super dark.
sexual
Oh,
or
interesting.
like really weird, just like pagan ideals being thrown out through them. And so you're like, what the fuck? It's just like really disorienting, like throughout the whole movie. And it like builds to this point. It's fucking fantastic. I would highly recommend it.
That's funny because I find things like that kind of thing where it's like something's out of place, but you can't understand why. I think that that's really scary. Like, because I always think of like the end of The Shining. The end of The Shining when the woman is running like through the hotel,
Hmm.
and like she's seeing things like in the rooms and
Yeah.
stuff. I've always found that to be like absolutely terrifying because it's like context free. Like the camera just shifts over and it's like these people in the room, and I'm almost like like what the fuck is
Yeah.
going on? And I've always found that to be like some of the creepiest stuff is when it's just like things that aren't. It's not like they're like running after you with an axe and trying to kill you. It's just something that's like so different that it jars your perception, and like just makes you uncomfortable and like unnerved in that way. Like I love that stuff.
Yeah. So what else? This movie from the '60s called The Innocents.
I've never heard of it.
It's black and white. Dude, it's so beautifully shot that like while watching it, like there's scenes that happen that are fucking scary, but at the same time, like while the movie was going on, I'm like remembering, like thinking back to those scenes, and I'm thinking back in color. Like that's how vivid and beautiful the pictures were, like the cinematography. That like I'm like, oh yeah, it was a green. It was like a wheat field with a lake, and there it was raining, and there's a woman in black like standing off in the field, and I'm thinking like, no, it's all in black and white. Like why am I filling in like these this like my mind is just doing it automatically. Like that's how vivid the cinematography is in this film, and there's some fucking terrifying moments in it.
What
Um,
is it called? The Innocents, as in like multiple innocents, or the
yes,
Innocents? Okay. I Amazon that, and the only thing I found was a 2005 foreign film.
no, no, it's a, I don't, it's English. I don't know if it's British or American, but like it's set in like this country home that's like a sprawling mansion with these two children, and they're like constantly just being creepy children. And I don't know, dude, like it was good. It was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. If you
Sounds
like
fun.
stuff that's like a slow burn but like slowly dropping things at you that like just make you feel constantly uncomfortable. And there's this one scene where they're playing hide and go seek,
Oh, I
and
found
the
it. Yeah, I thought I see it.
and the Baroness goes to like hide behind a curtain, and she turns around and there's this big window, and she's looking out the window, and all of a sudden like this man, like you see this figure of a man start to walk up to the window, and he like literally just puts his face like right up against the window, and you're like holy shit, and they're like staring at each other, and then he just slowly steps back into the darkness again, and all you see like the glint on his eyes, and then the glint fades away, and it was fucking like gave me chills. I'm getting chills like talking about it now. It's so
There's a
good.
Criterion collection release of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I watched off of the
Nice.
Blu-ray.
Are you gonna get the? Are you gonna subscribe to Filmstruck,
No,
the
I'm not
Criterion
big
thing?
on streaming.
Streaming. Obviously, you have a
Yeah, I have all
hunormic
this
thing of.
like
I don't have. I
all
don't.
that
Yeah,
is
that's
all
nuts. I basically
so
don't have any films like that I actually own. I used to have a Criterion set, and I basically purged it a couple months ago just because I found that I wasn't watching them as much as I would find ones
yeah, I
on.
remember. I actually contacted you about it.
Oh yeah, did we talk about something? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you were like, "Oh, I'm actually looking to sell as a group," and I was like, "Damn it," because there was
Oh,
some ones in there
I'm
that.
sorry. I'm sorry,
No, no,
buddy.
it's all good. But this is before we like got to know
Knew
each
each
other,
other, yeah.
got intimate.
Got
Um,
intimate, as it were.
Senso opinions on Japanese horror, Ring, Grudge, etc. Also 60s classics like Kuroneko and Onibaba.
I've
Those are
seen
all
more.
fantastic.
I've seen more. And I wouldn't even say that I have a good understanding of it, but I've seen more older Japanese horror than I have newer ones.
Yeah, I'm a bigger fan of like older stuff, but even like The Ring and The Grudge, the original ones are pretty damn good. There's also, was it Dark Water? Is I think another one
I don't know that
that's
one.
pretty good. And then of course like The Audition. Uh,
Takashi Miike.
yeah, Takashi Miike, man, that
He's a
guy's
creepster.
he's weird. He's a weird dude. His
Was he the
he
one that
puts out
did?
like 60 films a year,
Did he
man. That
do
guy's fucking crazy.
the Tetsuo, the Iron Man?
Yep,
Dude,
I'm
that
pretty
movie
sure that's
is
him.
gnarly.
Yeah, I have it on VHS somewhere around here.
I
Widescreen
remember watching that
VHS.
a while ago, and I was like, "Oh fuck, this movie is creepy." Oh no,
Another one
it's actually not him. It's
oh no, it's not. I
Shinya
thought it was.
Tsukamoto. Who is this guy?
Another good classic one is hold on, I'm trying to read it. Jigoku? J
Yeah,
I
body. Is that the
G
body
O.
snatcher from hell?
No, no,
No,
no, that
no,
one's
no,
not
no.
that. Jigoku, it's
Is that the kid who goes back from like university to visit the
no,
town?
they like go to hell
Jesus.
in the movie. It's fucking like
I think
it's kind of like Dante's Inferno, like he goes through like the
think
different
I have
levels of
seen
hell
that.
like in yeah, it's really interesting. But there's like a character that plays like the devil, but it's not like explicitly said that he's the devil. It's pretty good. I liked it a lot. And it's like their depictions of hell is fucking intense, especially for like the time period being put out and the use of color and everything else. It's a really good movie.
What's the one I'm thinking of? Is it Gate of Flesh? I'm thinking of that one.
I know which one you're talking about. The Shigoku
Box.
box set, the
Yeah, 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 yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
Criterion one.
I think I have seen Jigoku. Yeah, because it's about the theology student. I was thinking he was a medical student, but have you seen House?
Yeah,
I
Hausu.
love
Yeah,
House.
the Japanese one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Not
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
American. The American one's pretty
I didn't
fun
know there
too
was an
if you
American
like
one
that.
actually.
Yeah, yeah, it's wacky. It's like a wacky 80s like horror comedy.
Interesting.
Uh if you like that I mean, you might like it. It's kind of dumb but like fun at the same time.
I mean, I love the
Some pretty
original
cool
one. I think the
stuff.
original one is like
No, it has nothing to do
fantastic.
with the Japanese.
Oh, really?
No, it's like it's just an American horror movie called House.
1986.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. I'd
I'll
recommend it
make a
if
note
you
of that.
like kind of
Yeah,
weird comedy horror from the
I can
80s.
dig that. All right, so we've been going for about an hour and a half. I think it is just about time to call the stream, in my opinion.
All right.
All right. I'm sorry to stop the conversations, but I just need to take a nap before work. Last thing before we go, I posted this link on my wall today. Peanut butter and pickle sandwiches. Yes or no?
What kind of pickles?
Any pickle you want. It's pickle just like a I do bread and butter pickles. You can say yes or no on that. So I'm here to tell you
I'm gonna say
it's
no.
incredible.
I'm gonna say no, but only because I like spicy
Pickles, yeah,
pickles,
that would
and I
be-
think that would be fucking weird.
Well,
with
no, so what
peanut
I
butter.
do is I do peanut butter, sriracha, and pickles sandwiches.
Dude, are you pregnant?
It's try it, okay? Just try. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, the chat is overwhelmingly what the fuck? No, no. Just okay. Everybody who's hating out there, give a peanut butter and pickle sandwich a try because it's like crunchy
God,
and like pickly, but then also peanut buttery. And then if you put some sriracha on there, it's like a. I like to think of it as Thai fusion on a sandwich.
That sounds like a bad time on the
Man,
toilet.
no, it's really
That's
good.
what it sounds like.
It's really good. Try it out. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We will be back next week. I need to get in touch with Amani. I don't know what happened. She was supposed to be here with us today, but hopefully she is not
Sleeping in bed.
indisposed of in some bad way. But we will get back to our get a cat, get a horsing next week. We might pick up with the overrated media. I'm not quite sure, but you can also look forward to a Doctor Strange podcast in probably 2 or 3 weeks away, probably the week after the movie comes out. We'll be discussing that. So, I also wanted to plug the Nerd Ventures Book Club, which is going to be on Wednesday. I mean, by the time this is posted, it will have already happened, but I'm talking to all the people that are in the live stream right now. If you are interested in discussing Identity Crisis with us, that'll be happening on Wednesday, October 26th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So we will be talking about Identity Crisis, and this, which I believe is sort of the start of modern DC crossover continuity fuck-ups. Just craziness, but, at least it's the beginning, so it's a nice, clean start. Anything you want to leave the viewers with, MJ? Podmax Podcast, as always. You should check that out.
Yeah. I do a movie podcast with my cousin, and we just put out a kind of mini episode today, just doing some recommendations for the last week of October for horror movies. Stuff that's kind of off the beaten path, but not too weird and obscure. Just stuff that I think you might be able to find a majority of it on Netflix or some sort of streaming service. And then also we are going to be releasing an episode tomorrow, a full-length, in-depth discussion of The Hitcher, which is a Rutger Hauer film. It's like a thriller horror movie. It's really good. And this time it's me, Joe, and my other cousin. So it's now 3 of us, family members all together on this episode discussing The Hitcher, which is...
the Hitcher newer?
No, it's from 1986.
I was reading about it recently. I was just trying to think about why it would have been.
There's a remake, I think in like 2007, which is not good, but
I don't know.
yeah, so yeah, if you want to hear that, check it out. You can find us on iTunes or our website, podmaxpodcast.com. Or if you want to just say hi to me, you could see, yeah, I don't know, you can just hi, whatever. You can find me at Podmax Podcast on Twitter as well as Instagram. So I'm there.
Nice. And you can find this podcast. There actually is not going to be an audio version of this because I never started recording the audio because we didn't ever really start the podcast per se. So there's not going to be an audio version of this episode. It's just going to be a video, which is fine. It's just going to be like a one-off thing. But you can find that on youtube.com/nerdventures, as well as find the podcast Get a Cat, Get a Horse on SoundCloud, iTunes, and other podcasting services. So, yeah, until next week. Well, actually, until Wednesday. I hope to see some of you there for the book club live stream. And if you would like to be a co-host on the live stream, as well as get voting abilities for what books we cover on the book club, as well as topic suggestions for the podcast and the Nerdventures channel, you can head on over to patreon.com/nerdventures and consider supporting the channel, because we are Patreon powered and we are trying to do a bunch of community stuff, get everybody involved with selecting the direction of the channel. Even though earlier today I said that was a bunch of bullshit, sending out surveys to see what people wanted. Now I'm going to renege on that and say, come and tell me what you want me to cover. Because I'm a terrible hypocrite. So I hope you guys enjoyed our little casual Q&A. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Adios.
Adios.